And we are back with more of the idea guys. Last we left off, we kind of figured out how Joshua Wise came into contact with Chris and how he controlled Chris's way of thinking about Quickville. But now we're going into the meat of things, controlling Chris's beliefs. He's trying to use his creator powers to return Quickville to its original state before I showed up, but I keep telling him that every time he does this, it causes more trouble than actual solutions, says the idea guy Wise. And the idea guys said, nah, your fix didn't work, so undid your attempt. Chris's response was basically, dang. Guard dog Marvin on the extent the idea guys control over Chris's psyche. After convincing Chris of his persona, John Yamada's ability to access a Quickville dimension, idea guy Wise began to manipulate Chris's beliefs and insert his own ideas. He also undermined Chris's attempts to restore his fantasy world. As Wise put it, Chris thinks he has a psychic link to Quickville, but every time he tries to change the scenario to his will, I always say it fucks up and makes things worse. And here's a picture of Chris taking diligent notes on Mr. Wise's ideas, apparently. And now we have for an example of how the idea was able to control Chris Quickville. For example, in December 2017, Wise told Chris that DJ James Sonichu, which I also made a video about, has been arrested for molesting Punchy and Tails. Jesus. Chris, not liking this development, tried to have Jamsta acquitted. He tried using a psychic link to Quickville to convince the judge to acquit Jamsta, but Wise countered by telling Chris that the judge didn't believe him since he had stepped down as mayor. Chris then tried to influence the jury, but Wise again countered by telling him while it worked and Jamsta was acquitted. As a consequence, Bob was out to get Jamsta, sending a photo of rioting as proof. And this was the photo. Jesus Christ. He said Wise tricked Chris into believing that this image depicted protesters of Quickville rioting upon Jamsta's acquittal from molestation, but it was actually an image from the 1992 Los Angeles riots, and I doubt Chris knew that. And another example, Wise role-played him as the Chris of Quickville and claimed to be a Satanist, and that atheism, Neptunia, and Islam were the main beliefs of Quickville. Christianity had been forgotten about once he stepped down from mayor. The real world Chris reacted to this information by saying Angelica would enforce Christianity again, and Wise countered by telling him Angelica became a Satanist, and more people were converting to Islam. And there's Angelica as a Satanist, and I gotta say, I'm not even gonna front. This looks kind of sick. I'm not even gonna. It looks kind of cool. I don't know how the fuck she became a Satanist, but I kind of like the red and yellow, the red and white contrast. It looks cool to me, anyway. Chris was also so suggestible under Wise's influence that at times he would float an idea, and Chris's imagination would run wild with the concept. When Wise's John Yamada persona first contacted Chris, he used the lore of Hyperdimension Neptunia, the video game franchise, to say that Chris's Sega Dreamcast console possibly contained a portal to Quickville. Chris decided to run his console for 24 hours, placed his hand on it, felt a shock, and imagined that it meant that the Neptunia goddess within it was possessing him. Furthermore, after having been in contact with Wise's Neptunia CPU goddess personas, Chris decided to abandon the Christian religion in favor of Neptunia. And one of the reasons he cited was that he could actually communicate with the Neptunia goddesses. Eventually, after the idea guys were ousted, the influence resulted in Chris identifying as a goddess, CPU Blueheart. Chris's perception of his imaginary counterpart was influenced by Wise's ideas to a point the latter expressed surprise. Following a comment from Wise's Yamada persona on Nazis and satanic powers, Chris believed his past Quickville counterpart to have been kidnapped by Nazis and given satanic powers. Wise, pushing further, told the real world Chris his past counterpart had abolished women's rights to enable his love quest and that he had helped Nazis win World War II. Chris then illustrated his modern Quickville counterpart confronting and assaulting his past Quickville counterpart over his actions. In truth, I made a joke about the Nazis and satanic powers, not realizing how much he'd take in. And this is Chris drawing him getting taken over by a goddess or whatever. It's fucking stupid. In another example, after discussing his medallion with John Yamada, who told him that it was crafted out of element 115 as a reference to the Call of Duty video games, Chris believed that Yamada had created a new medallion for him and it would arrive in the mail and unlock his magical powers. This emboldened Chris to begin making plans to travel and meet the creator of Rose Drew's story and to confront Cole Smithy in New York, despite not knowing where either lived, believing he would magically learn their addresses. Wise became concerned and convinced Chris not to go on the trips. I'm surprised, honestly, that he didn't make him go. And this is Chris attacking his past self after learning what Joshua Wise had said about him, like he abolished women's rights for his love quest. Okay. Influence to Chris's fantasy land and sense of reality. The idea guy's influence and brainwashed into Chris many alterations to his fantasy world, including his imaginary friends and his imaginary city of Quickville. These include Wild Sonichu becoming a drug addict, the creation of Bundy-Chu, who befriends the spirit of Chris's late father. I also made a video about Bundy-Chu. Brendan Fraser becoming elected the mayor of Quickville, and several other concepts. He also pushed his fantasy escapism further away from reality. Chris, who had been believing he could interact with his imaginary friends prior to the idea guys, such as when he danced with Magichan in public, had his beliefs validated and encouraged by the idea guys. On December 2017, Weiss told Chris the happy dimension Neptunia goddess Neptune would be waiting for him at a GameStop. Chris decided to go into the Forest Lakes location from which he had been banned and waited outside its car, honking his horn and shouting her name. He then appeared inside the store and scanned the interior looking for her. In January 2018, Chris believed that imaginary friends Magichan, his father figure and mentor Mewtwo, had gotten married in a loving triangle with Sylvana. 2 months later, the idea guys pushed further and got Chris to believe that he married Magichan and became part of a polyamorous marriage. Additionally, they brainwashed Chris into believing this made him bisexual. The idea guys also used their influence to trick Chris into exercising. Around March 2018, Chris began to exercise as they told him that he needed to be in shape while in Quickville, working out with dumbbells as seen in 100 and joining the gym at Anytime Fitness. His exercise habits continued sporadically for a time after the idea guys were ousted, though his interest in it faded away eventually. Of course it did. The idea guys also left a heavy influence on the Sonichu comic and its canon, and by extension, Chris's imaginary friends. Many details were revised by Chris following the lore they laid out, such as Sonichu's birthday was switched to 420 as a reference to Adolf Hitler's birthday, and marijuana. I did not know he was born at that day. That's actually pretty interesting. The date of the rainbow, which created Sonichu, was changed to February 1st, 2003 as a reference to Columbia space shuttle disaster. Jesus. And Magichan's age changed to 69 years old as sexual reference. They also affected plot points in the direction of the Sonichu comic from Sonichu number 12-9 onwards. This can be seen in Sonichu 12-9, which Chris worked on before, during, and after the idea guys were in power. Its plot veers sharply from Chris's interests, the idea guys, and then back to Chris's. The following issue, Sonichu 13, or The Awakening of a CPU, as told by Chris, represents the idea guy's influence over him in comic form. It features a story on how Weiss's John Yamada persona came to influence Chris over the idea of the Sega Dreamcast containing a portable Quickville. In a page and a half full of text, Chris summarizes his adventures with Yamada and a hyperdimension Neptunia cast and the salvation of game industry in Quickville from its invaders. The rest of Sonichu 13 covers an incoherent series of plot threads over the topics of the idea guys had brainwashed into Chris. The dimensional merge, a key influence to Chris's escapist habits, is thought to originate from the idea guys, though no chat logs pertaining to it were publicly released, and the first public mention to it by Chris occurred months after their ousting. A small clue is in the merge's start date being November 18th, 2018, the 40th anniversary of the John Stone mass suicide, which aligns with the idea guys in certain dates of infamous historical events in the Sonichu canon. According to Dog Marvin, the merge is an idea guy concept. It was an idea that the idea guy invented, but Chris didn't really pay enough attention to it as a concept until around when the Team Troon Squad showed up. I don't know who they are. Maybe that's another video for another time. Though now it might have been just a coincidence, but it was around that time Chris started seriously looking into the merge as a solution to his problems. Now let's look at some of these pictures. This I do remember. This is when Chris manipulated Chris into drawing a picture of him having sex with Sonichu so that he could have a baby. And he said if he drew it, he didn't have to actually have sex with Sonichu, which is where we're gonna look at this picture. Look at Sonichu go, ah! It's like, this hurts me worse, my son, but destiny called us to make this baby. Our next CPU, our crystal roast chew. Ah! Poor Sonichu. I wonder how Roast Chew felt about that. Okay, this is Chris digitally and physically removing bits from the Sonichu comic to match up with the idea guy's lore. In this example, he altered a page from Sonichu 15 to match Wise's assertion that Roast had been born a male, indicated by with a pointy tail. Left original image, right, a slip of paper glued over the original image. Okay. And this is the 69 distant Sonichus and Roasters. So let's see the idea guy's pointing in Chris's mind. What the fuck? And some of it's empty. Early trolling. Midway through November 2017, Chris's content began to include references designed to go over his head. On the 14th of November, he wrote that his imaginary friend Sylvana had been captured by a Russian billionaire. posted a photo of a soldier who had been rescuing her. This was recognized by spectators as a reference to the politically incorrect Roof Kebab internet meme. The soldier was to be part of Operation Barbarossa, which consisted of historical references to World War II. That same day, Wise termed the first true exercise of trust. Chris recorded a freestyle dance with me for our world while wearing a tinfoil hat to prevent the man from reading his mind. On December 11th, Chris performed a supposed Cherokee chant, which in fact involved him mimicking the squatting Slav meme and reciting internet meme quotes from the Stalker video game series, all while drunk on half a fifth of vodka. Chris was also tricked into writing edgy jokes in foreign languages. On November 2017, Chris posted an artwork featuring Sailor Moon characters conversing with his Quickfill counterpart. He was actually tricked into writing, "I am carrying a penis," among other things in Japanese. The drawing may have been the earliest instances of Wise's trickery, as it was dated on October 18th, 2017, falling in between Wise's initial contact and his debut of his John Yamada persona. In December, more art was posted, one featuring the SS motto as well as German lines from the video games Brothers in Arms and Wolfenstein: The New Order. This guy really just loves his army video games, doesn't he? Chris also tried to write the signature line again, although he accidentally wrote it with a typo. The German translations in particular put Chris's naivety on full display, with some of the German dialogue featuring words such as Zera, Evolution, and Universum, which are similar or identical to English counterparts that are obviously absent in the supposed translations. In January 2018, a January 2018 post congratulating Magic Jam Mewtwo on tying the knot also contains Swedish text giving a shout out to Kiwi Farms. Escalation. The manipulation of Chris over his fantasy world gradually escalated. In January 2018, Wise roleplayed as Nazis and led Chris to believe that they had bugged his Christine doll. Chris retaliated by destroying it and smashing it. Days later, Chris also destroyed his miniature Christmas tree and "Get out, you damn Nazis." By April 2018, the ID guys had a sadistic hold over Chris's belief. In Crizel Torture, one of the leaked chat logs from late that month, Wise roleplayed as Sword Art Online character Pito. I don't know how to pronounce that. Fuck off. I'm not gonna even try. And graphically described torturing Chris's imaginary wife, Crizel, for several hours, with Boyd providing backup. Isn't Crizel like a kid? Like, I haven't read Sonichu in a while, so I don't know. But isn't like Crizel a kid? Let's see. Read these chat logs. Christine. The only way you would be truly spot on with that impression is if you went outside and let yourself be hit by an 18-wheeler right in the face and breasts. And I may as well add your cooch as well. Wise. That's a weak insult. I'm laughing pretty hard. Boyd. Christian, you haven't a place in my kingdom with that language, potty pants. Christine, yes, my lord. Boyd. For these transgressions, you will apologize and give Miss whatever she desires. Christine, whatever her name is, I am sorry for throwing insults left and right at you, and whatever you desire of me personally, and not through the pain and suffering of anyone else at all, I'll be more than humbled to oblige. Wise, I want you to kick Magic Shannon in the dick hard. Christine, next time I see him, I will do that. Boy, that was fast. Man, he didn't even try to like fucking say no. Blackmail and extortion allegations. Oof, that sounds fun. So naturally, once they have Chris believing that they can destroy Quickville, they have Chris confessing into being a pedophile and raping his mother. Wow, boy, that raping his mother part became kind of true really quick. Once they have those confessions, they threaten to release it to the public if he doesn't record himself shitting on the floor and punching himself in the face until tears and snot are running down his chin. At one point, they ask Chris to punch his mother, which he does, though he claims lightly. Jeez, what the fuck? Oh my God, that's horrible. I don't even like Chris. I think he's a piece of shit, but God damn. What the fuck is wrong with these guys? Like, where did this go from a bunch of trickery to like making him shit on the floors and punch his mother? Even though his mother's kind of a bitch too, but still, like, what the fuck? The guard dogs alleged that the idea guys managed to extort $6,000 worth of gift cards, video games, and other accessories from Chris by threatening to destroy his imaginary land of Quickville. Not only that, Boyd also demanded $20,000 or else he would report Chris as a pedophile to the FBI. Guard dog, the captain, also stated that the idea guys had forced Chris to record a series of videos to his Google Drive in order to use them as leverage against him in the future, which include content such as Tour Chris House 3, Chris slaps himself, and an unreleased 2-hour video, Chris reacting to grotesque pornography. The idea guys, while role-playing as fictional characters, had convinced Chris that they They had means to destroy Quickville. Wise posing as anime series Symphogear villain Finney, whose backstory involves being the creator of a particle ion cannon titled Cadinger. What the fuck is all this bullshit? With the capacity to destroy the moon, claimed that the destroyed moon chunks would then fall onto Quickville. Idea guy Boyd, posing as Gwen Mikoto, affirmed Wise's claims and also trying to erase the dimension of Quickville in which Quickville resides and by nuking it. When the guard dogs rescued Chris from the idea guy's influence, they told him that moon-destroying weapon did not exist, and Chris became extremely angry at the revelation. Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. The idea guy's brain had brainwashed Chris into believing himself as a pedophile by telling him that the blue spike cyber sex logs and having crushes on high school classmates during high school counted as pedophilia. After being freed from their influence, Chris no longer believed it. Yeah, he shouldn't. That's fucking stupid. To pay off the idea guys, Chris raised money from eBay sales of his toys and prices of the Chandler Horde. Pieces of the Chandler Horde. Guard dog, the captain, said that the idea guys were telling him what to sell and urging him to dig through more boxes, etc., in an effort to find things to hawk on eBay to make money for them. In addition, $1,200 gifted to him from Jack Janowski, meant to go towards attending BrodyCon, was also sent to the idea guys. Though this were not enough to satisfy their demands, as in April 2018, Chris withheld a mortgage payment, putting the Chandlers at severe risk of losing their home. And on the 24th of April 2018, with Chris in dire financial straits, the idea guys influenced him into posting a tweet offering to prostitute himself. He stated his price would be $50 for blowjobs and $100 for butt sex. Days later, the idea guys were removed from power by the guard dogs, and the situation did not escalate further. In May, Chris disavowed the prostitution messages and stated that he had been coerced into making them. Chris kept each of his invoices and receipts for the transactions he made for the idea guys. The guard dogs received screencasts and photos of the receipts, hoping to use them as evidence in an official investigation. When that fell through, guard dog Null posted them publicly to the Kiwi Farms forum. Excerpts from a chat log. Okay, let's see this. Wise. I want to destroy the moon. If my calculations are correct, it should hit Quickville first, and then the curse on humanity shall be lifted. Boyd, can we go from you destroying the moon to the entire dimension? Christine, do not destroy a thing. Wise, moon. Christine, no. Wise, you can't rebuild if a massive chunk smashes into the planet. Focus, Chriselle. Focus. Christine, yes, honey. I do have a D cup size. Wise, liar. Wise, moon. Christine, no. Wise, yes. Christine, I approve. Your breasts are a lie. Moon. That's the back of my bra showing the sides. I don't need to see your underwear. No, moon. It's coming down. No, stop the moon. Admit you're lying. My breasts were with fat are a lie. What the hell? And that's the fictional super weapon, which, look, you know what that kind of reminds me of? It reminds you of the Tower of Heaven from Fairy Tale, except this one's a lot more artistic. Like, Jalal should have had his minions making this. Like, it would have looked so much cooler than just a giant crystal, honestly. That's just my opinion, though. And their third and final part will focus on their removal from power and their lasting legacy. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know I did. And I will see you all next time.